And with me today is Dlorah Devore, one of the first holistic pet health coaches. She was kind enough to go through my guinea pig program and all the craziness that was going on in there. And I wanted to talk with Dlorah to kind of help you understand what her experience has been. So, before she got into all this craziness, she was actually a consulting client. We worked on her dog's Hazel's GI and skin issues together, and and just really liked what Dlorah's insight. She is already a certified human health coach, and that was through the FTN program. Am I remembering that correctly, Dlorah?
A Nutritional Therapy Association.
That's right. But you'll put an F in front of things when you've done checked all the boxes.
Yeah, the F's are really important, it seems. It's functional nutritional therapy practitioner.
Okay. Okay, got it. Well, and that's a big distinction. So there's registered dietitians or nutritionists, but a functional directed person is going to incorporate many different aspects. So, Dlorah, tell me about what that program was like and what you went through there.
It was fairly intense, 10-month program that had in-person weekends. There was actually a hands-on portion of it where we did things that would palpate the gut area. I forget the guy's name who came up with that sort of thing, but we practiced that as well. And then just basically functional gut, immune issues, just the whole thing. It's basically a review, or it was an introduction to what I learned in your class.
Wow. Okay. But that's like you did that in a bunch of weekends and paid for the course and had to go, pay for a hotel and go there. And it took, yeah. And it took you how long again?
It was about 9 months. And I say travel, books, buying the supplements and supplies, and even a massage table to do the manipulations on. I would say all in all was about $8,000.
Wow. Okay. So not an inexpensive prospect,
No.
but that massage technique is amazing.
Yeah.
And I had a practitioner that was able to do that for me when I was having a lot of GI issues, and man, did that help. That was just astonishing.
Yeah, you would palpate. You would dig way down into the liver and try to palpate the gallbladder, and the client would give you a number, 1 to 10 is their pain, and then all of us functional and holistic people believe in energy medicine, so they would hold a supplement. We would dig down on that area again, and unbelievably, the pain would go down to a 1 or 2, if not gone.
Wow. So that's actually not only diagnostic technique, but a kinesthetic test, essentially, for is this supplement going to work for this person for the specific issue.
It was really cool. Yeah. And I had quite a few clients. Quite a few. 3.
That's a few.
That's a few, yeah. And it was a lot of fun doing it, but my goodness, it really took a lot of energy just to do that physical work. Just the change in doing the pets is you don't have that physical exertion, although working with the client, you do want to connect with them on more of a soulful level. But I have had so much more success being a pet health coach than a human health coach. It's just, I guess it's not surprising, but I was surprised that people will do so much more for their pets than they do themselves. So it's very refreshing and exciting to be able to make a difference because people are actually willing to do the work.
That's true. And that's the hard thing, right? So we're
Yes.
trained in the human healthcare system. It trains us to just take the pill and just deal with it.
Right.
But that solution clearly isn't working, right?
Yeah.
Um, so
Clear.
so have you found that some of your clients that you've worked with their pets, they're seeing results with their pets, that they're starting to reevaluate how they eat themselves and
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just getting on a cleaner diet, and that is the number one thing, in both human and in, uh, pet health coaching. Change your food. We are what we eat, down to the very tiniest molecule. So fix that, and
amen.
yeah, and we're ready. Yeah, it's our bodies want to be healthy. So just give them a chance. Give them some whole food.
Right, put the right fuel in,
Yeah.
and that's I mean, the really sad thing to me is that as poor quality as many of the manufactured pet food, uh, brands are,
Mhm,
sadly, there is more oversight in the pet food industry than there is in the human food industry,
mhm.
and that's something that a lot of people don't realize, but it's just like the stuff that like, back in the '80s, remember, when, Snackwells came out? You and I are both old enough to know what they are, right? And so there's, like, they didn't have to it's a low-fat cookie, but the deal is they didn't have to list the trans fats on the label, so it was actually a high-fat and a really crappy high-fat cookie, and so here's all these people pounding Snackwells, at their desks and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, the one of the ads, and I don't know why this image is burned into my mind, but it is of a secretary at her desk. She pulls open the lower file cabinet drawer, and then there's the box of Snackwell cookies because it's good for her because it's low fat, right? And it's just like, really? But that's the deal is that
Yeah, back then.
until I think the manufacturers were
Oh,
able to get away with not listing trans fats on the label.
and back then it was low fat, everything low fat, and I was so diligent, would count my calories and count my fats, and I think it was probably, in the late '90s, I was counting that I had less than 10% fat in my diet, and I was just doing everything right, and I'm still getting nowhere, and my joints ached so bad, and at that point, I thought, "This is dumb." So, I started eating more fat, and amazingly, my joints started feeling better. Well, 20 years later, I'm developing autoimmune disease, duh, you know? It's really not our fault, folks. We're being told so many different things, and as science is, revealing the truth, then we can only pick up what we know to do. So
Amen
we
to
just
that.
forgive ourselves and move on.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Pick up and get educated and learn better. But
Mhm.
so the reason I went down that little rabbit hole about trans fats is that whatever happened on the human nutrition side, that spilled over to the pet side. And so, the treatment for if a dog ever got pancreatitis, it was on a low fat diet for the rest of its life.
Mhm.
And then it developed skin problems, joint problems, cognitive issues, all of these things that we know are associated with chronic low fat diets in humans. So there's a huge lesson in that. And I mean, golly, back in 2013, I went to a series of lectures on gastrointestinal medicine, and there was an internist from Cornell University that said, well, we know that, yes, they dogs and cats that have had pancreatitis, they need a low-fat diet for a period of time to let things recover, and then they need a diet lower in fat than what they were eating before chronically. Not a fat diet for the rest of their lives, which is what most people get told when their
Mhm.
pets got pancreatitis. And for a while, it was like every dog that had a gastrointestinal issue was diagnosed with pancreatitis. Thanks to the handy little in-house test, you put a little drop of blood on there, wait 5 minutes and pop it, and boom, you get dots that say yep, your dog has pancreatitis, or no, it doesn't. And so it turns out that actually all of the tests that we have for pancreatitis are riddled with false positives and false negatives. So it's a really frustrating disease to treat, but to make this blanket statement that all low-fat diet for the rest of your pet's life has just been devastating to pets' health, dogs especially, um, in ways that we're just now beginning to understand.
Mhm.
So thanks for going into that rabbit hole with me. So, but you mentioned earlier that you've been able to help more pets more quickly than you have with people. So, tell me about a couple of the cases that you've worked with.
My very first case was a little puppy who had gotten a leptospirosis diagnosis, pardon me, the leptospirosis shot vaccine. And as a result of that vaccine, experienced some brain swelling. And we put him on the crock-pot diet, of course, and as low carb as we could, ketogenic if possible. And he's doing fine. Yeah, it's was incredible, and it's funny. When you first jump into the water, you don't know if it's going to be cold or hot, and so with this being my first case, I thought, oh my gosh, if this puppy dies, it's just going to be awful.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about this dog now. So this dog had received a diagnosis of GME, of granulomatous meningoencephalitis. So, I mean, that's horrible to deal with. And usually these dogs are on really profoundly strong immunosuppressants for the rest of their lives.
Right,
So,
right.
so you switched to a low carb diet, and I know you did some supplements too,
Yeah,
but
yeah, we
this
did some
dog is
stuff.
doing great.
Yeah, she's doing fine. They were able to uh, titrate down on the prednisone. She's still on a little bit of prednisone, but it's just not as much, and a little bit of she was on some really strong immunosuppressants there for a little while, but she's doing much better. We the omega-3 oils makes a huge difference. CBD oil made a huge difference. And it's funny that I've had several clients with very wide varying different ailments, but we have a basic recipe. Put them on real food, maybe some CBD oil, but always some omega-3 oils, always some probiotics, and it is amazing. You just change those few things at the very beginning, and the pets start to improve. It's just incredible. It's exciting to actually watch these transformations.
I mean, honestly, I lose track, as you know. I tend to get a little sidetracked on things, but that is the most phenomenal outcome for GME that I have heard in a very long time.
Yeah.
Because the drugs were getting bigger and uglier the last time I looked at it clinically. And, and I was able to make a big difference for my clients in practice as well. But that is like, you should be seriously patting yourself on the back and basically that's what you did. You applied the basics and then coached this lady through continuing to use that plan.
Right, right. I think being a puppy helped. She was, I think, between 6 and 9 months old, and still strong and had a strong spirit of life. So I think that helped tremendously. But still, just your very basic changes helped reduce the inflammation, and she seems to be doing fine. I think she has some episodes now and again, but hopefully those things will relieve in time.
This is just I mean, really, this is like a massive win. So right on for that. But that's the thing, is that you're continuing to work with this woman. This is the goal. I mean, we're sort of dancing all over the place, largely because I'm a smidge scatterbrained, but this is the goal of coaching, is tackling a health problem that is like the elephant. Like, how do we even begin to approach this? And how do we start to solve this for people? But, that's what the coaching
Mhm.
program helps you do, is to break it into small enough pieces and work on the systems that are malfunctioning. Um, and wow, that's just crazy. So you've been working with this lady now for
Oh,
3
yeah.
months,
S
4 months?
several, probably since, the first of the year. What's exciting to me is, that if a vet or, other health professional says, "There's nothing else we can do," it's like, "Oh my goodness, there's so much we can do." And it's hard not to overwhelm the client with protocols and
The
supplements,
list.
the list. So you just start easy. You start with the very most important thing, food, like we've talked about, and some supplementation, the basic supplementation. And then
Oh,
you move towards maybe a little bit more targeted once you run some more tests. But you just start easy, and you don't want to overwhelm the client with too many suggestions. So I have to really rein it back in and say, well, that's for next time. We'll do that next time.
right. Because that's the temptation, right? We read about all these wonderful supplements and the things they can do, and I want this and this and this and this and this, but
Mhm,
really that's the approach we're trying to take, is that less is more. And
mhm,
there are a few things that we know are going to be home runs for uh, almost every sin. That's why
mhm.
we start with food and adding in things that will control inflammation, the omega-3 fatty acids, and then ultimately supporting the microbiome, usually with a sporulated probiotic, so that we can start to get the gut back in order. And by feeding a vegetable based, not a vegetarian diet, but a diet that has a lot of real vegetables and real food in it, we're actually feeding the microbiome with appropriate fibers. So that's made a huge, huge difference for so many pets. Wow, cool. So, so if you're wanting to reach out to Dlorah, her Facebook page is Dlorah Devore, and I'll try to get a better link of that
Yeah,
for you while we're still talking. But
let me see if I can dig that up real quick.
yeah, but that way it's going to, you can reach out to her for consultations. Dlorah moved into from being, one of the first students, into being a student mentor in the last couple of months, and that's been an amazing process too. So what the goal with the mentoring program, and true to my nature, unfortunately, she had to we had to do the frying pan method of training, which is you turn the heat on and throw the eggs in and then see how they cook, which is but that's part of figuring out how to make things work. But you came through that part with flying colors. But the goal with the mentoring program is that this is a very fast-paced program. It's 16 weeks. There's 14 modules. There's 2 weeks off, so you can kind of take a breath and catch up. There are live coaching calls with the group with me every Monday, but the goal with the mentor is to have that one person you can talk to get questions answered about the material, to try out, what do you think about these Facebook images? What should I say to this client about this particular question? And so that's exactly what our mentors are doing, is taking their own experiences, both in the coaching program, material from their own practices, and then helping students take those lessons and apply them in their own learning curve, and also in developing their own practices. So that's been amazing. So how I think, you were kind of nervous about stepping into that role, but I think within about 2 weeks you're like, I love this.
I
So
love it. Well, I just feel such a kinship to these people that have taken on a mission, like you, Dr. Ruth, to help our pets. I have met just such quality, super smarty people. It's been delightful. It's really changed my life, actually, taking the course and then being involved uh, with the students and involved with you. And it just, I mean, I've been surfing this wave that has been fantastic. I'm just have been feel like that. How did this happen? This is fantastic. I just want to be able. I want to tell folks who are thinking about the program that if this is run across your radar in any form or fashion, the time is right. Do it. Don't wait. The content is fantastic. Dr. Ruth has poured her heart and mind and soul into the content. She has shared everything, and it's such a huge value to be able to have the community and with Dr. Ruth's guidance. It's worth your time and energy, and do it now, because later we'll have been super successful, and you'll just have to come along for the ride too.
Right. And that's, I mean, the big thing is this. I mean, the need for this program got shown to me when during COVID, and I'm doing one-to-one coaching calls with my clients, and what they were telling me about their experience in veterinary offices was just horrifying. So COVID was bad. I mean, that literally changed the world in ways that we are just beginning to understand. But the thing that's so frustrating to me is that even post-COVID, the access to veterinary care is like it's getting more and more difficult. There are communities where you can't get an appointment from a veterinarian, no matter how sick your dog is, for a month, 2 months. Many of the emergency clinics have to shut at times because they're having staffing issues. They don't have enough staff to run the clinics. And the difficulty is that in this world of such shortage of veterinary personnel, that means that the doctor has maybe 6 to 10 minutes to talk to you about your dog that has now a significant health problem.
Mhm.
And I think you heard that from your client with the GME, is that, you know, the vet was like, "This is what your dog's got. Here's what we're going to do. Probably not
Mhm.
going to go well." And that was kind of it. And that's my goal with the coaching program, is to train people that have the time to sit and talk with you and listen to what you're telling them and help you understand what's in the medical records and suss out some of the clues that sadly veterinarians don't have a lot of time to go through and really take into account. Uh, and that's been the overarching goal, is to get you somebody that you can work with, that will listen to you, will understand when you say, you know, he just never has been right since X happened. And then be able to help walk back to that and see, all right, what was that thing that happened? And then how might this have had impact in the physiology in the body for a long period of time that conventional veterinary medicine. So
Mhm.
that's so critical, I think, with disease that has become chronic, or health issue that has the potential to become a chronic issue. You need somebody helping you figure things out. And if something doesn't work, then helping you pivot to what the next step would be. Or if it is working, but the results aren't quite where you want them to be, to pivot into what the next step would be to add on to make a bigger impact. So
I think it's important that a client knows that anything that a pet health coach recommends for you can be done along with the prescriptions and modalities from your veterinarian. So we're working in the background to help the pet, its overall health, and relieve some of the issues that other issues that may be disturbing them. And you know, if you're on a conventional medicine, you know, fine, continue that conventional medicine. Hopefully, the protocols that we're offering will allow those medicines to work a little better, and then we can wean them off of them.
Exactly. And I mean, and that's the thing that we have to recognize. My whole practice was integrative, meaning I combined allopathic or conventional medicine with Chinese medicine, with functional medicine. And I used chemotherapeutics alongside of Chinese herbal formulas and other supplements to achieve the best results for our patients. And that's the deal. I mean, modern medicine has some really marvelous things to offer. And it also has a lot of potential side effects with the meds, but that's exactly it. There was a veterinarian in Charleston that was a chiropractor and did acupuncture and all this stuff. But what she would say, she'd have these folks bring out dogs that were elderly. They were on pain medications because otherwise they couldn't work. They couldn't walk, I should say. And this woman refused to work with them unless they stopped the pain medicine, which is just asinine. Because the comfort of the dog goes down into the point where it's unable to move. And that's just there's so much ego in that thought. So if and if you've got a dog that's been in heart failure, the last thing you want to do is stop the heart medications, because what we want to do is supplement appropriately, reduce the inflammation to prevent further damage to the heart, and then add in herbals and other options that will improve heart function. And then see, what can we do? What can we decrease gradually without affecting the quality of life of the pet? And that's the whole deal, is keeping quality of life high.
Yeah, it's a win-win-win-win situation.
Right on.
The pet health coach, well, number one, the pet health coach, the pet parent, the vet wins, and I think it's a great way to help the pet overall.
Amen. Because that's the difficulty. As I see more and more of my colleagues just graduating from veterinary school, and all they're operating from is flow charts, and they don't have the desire or the brain bandwidth to figure out what else needs to go along with the suggestions in the flow chart. That's where the pet and the pet parents are losing. They're spending gazillions of dollars and really not getting any impact on the thing that's causing difficulty in that pet's life. So that's our game plan.
Another point about the course, pardon me, is it's the latest research. Dr. Ruth spends a lot of time immersing herself in the newest research and educating her pet health coaches on new modalities, and it's so valuable to have her input. Is this going to work? Well, she's got 30 years plus of knowing how things are going to pan out. And I remember when I was taking the course, I'd have a question, and I'd go, I'm going to stump her now. Well, no, it didn't happen. But when you pay for the course, you're always going to get the latest information. And many of the mentees, the students that I've been working with, they go, oh, can I do that for me? And I'm like, 100%.
Yeah.
Go for it. You're going to feel better.
Right. So, and for those of you watching, if you've got some questions about your pets, just pop them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them for you too. But that's one of the things that happens. I mean, all of this started for me because I got sick, and that's usually how doctors get better. They get sick and they realize how limited the options are for specific conditions. So in 2006, I was diagnosed with IBS and fibromyalgia. You're not supposed to get better from fibromyalgia. And it took 3 years, but finally I got to the point with diet, supplements, things like that I had no pain. I was working out. I was in really excellent shape. I'd lost 30 pounds. And over the next 2 years, I dropped an additional 20 pounds. And so that was kind of the key thing, is to realize, again, that's a massive problem. And I think I was 225 pounds. So I was 75 or 80 pounds overweight, and trying to go from being overweight to losing 80 pounds in one go is an impossible
Mhm.
thing to wrap your head around. So what I did instead was break it down into small pieces. And the first was changing my diet, becoming consistent with not eating wheat, not eating things that would trigger the pain from fibromyalgia, and then breaking it down to, hey, if I lose 10 pounds a year, I'm heading in the right direction.
Mhm.
And so that's part of the goal, is to, when something just seems so overwhelming, what little pieces, what little parts of the journey from point A to point B can we set up as signposts to know that we're getting closer and closer to our goal? And that really is the deal with coaching.
Mhm.
For these chronic problems, we're not going to solve the problem with a pill or a bag of food or a bag of fluids. But what we can do is, what is causing the most suffering for this pet right now?
Mhm.
And what can we do to alleviate that? And then once we have the most difficult thing supported, then what's the next most uncomfortable thing for this pet? And then so on and so forth. So that's really the idea, and the approach with coaching is to make it get into small bite-sized chunks. And to be fair too, I think Dlorah, maybe I uh, I don't have all the answers, and I fully admit that, but I'm really good at finding them, or finding someone that
It's
finding someone that can help us find the answer. So when we had questions about full spectrum hemp oil CBD products, I asked my truly dear friend, and the person I consider to be the most educated expert in the CBD field, who's Angela Ardolino, and she came in and did a course for us on the endocannabinoid system so that you can understand how that works, and then also combining full, full spectrum hemp oil with medicinal mushrooms to support pets with cancer. And likewise, when we needed more information a bit to guide Chinese herbal solution, uh, supplements, I should say, Dr. Chris Besant with HerbSmith came in, did a hour and a half lecture for you all, looking at the most commonly used formulas for pets and why they're commonly used and how to make good product selection. So that's the deal. If I don't know the answers, I'm going to find somebody to help us know what they are. So that's cool. So, so tell me, so the GME dog, that's amazing, and so that dog is pretty close to symptom free. Who are some of the other pets that you've worked with, and what kind of results have you had with them?
My most current pet that I'm working with is a dog, a German Shepherd and Chow mix, and he's in San Antonio, and it's really hot, and he is so sensitive. We've gone through iterations of crock pet diet. We've gone through. He can't take any of the fish oils, the nothing from the sea. So we had to alternate. I had an alternative for the iodine, alternative for omegas. So he's been quite a challenge, and I just got an email from her today with more questions. Just changing out the meats. We were doing some cooling meats and vegetables, and he got to where he didn't want to eat that. So he's kind of stumping me for. I was saying just the formula is fairly easy. Well, you will get one that or two or 12 that will stump you. So it's just thinking around the issue, doing a little research. And what I love about it is I learn as everyone else learns. So and you just do a little research, and it can't hurt because it's just food. Just
Right.
switch out the food.
And
It'll
that's
be
the
fine.
and that's the super cool thing. If there is, when you've introduced a new ingredient, it becomes abundantly clear if this is going to help or not help pretty quickly. So that's the awesome thing. But I think I remember you talking about this dog on one of the coaching calls. I think that if I'm remembering this correctly, and I may not be, but I think this woman's vet had pretty well just shrugged her shoulders and given up. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, yeah. She was on Apoquel, but took him off of Apoquel without much success. And then, the hair is just coming out in patches everywhere. He's just so sensitive. So we've got quite a row to hoe, but I think people that they need to understand that I know this about human health coaching, and you can let us know if it's same with dogs and cats. So every year that you've been sick, it takes about a month of recovery. So this is long term. It's not a pill. You just have to work at it. We're still working.
Amen. And that's an excellent kind of rule of thumb. And then if we think about, and Hayo has to put her 2 cents in. If we think about pets and how dogs, on average, 1 human year is about 7 dog years, and cats pretty close to that. So if they've been sick for a year, they've been sick for 5 to 7 years in terms of human years. So as long as we can make little progresses along the time, you're right. It may take 6 months, it may take 18 months. So one of the other students in the class, Eleonora, was experiencing pretty significant dog Lilu, who's very young. And so we started from, her having constant diarrhea no matter what was being fed, to really figuring out, okay, what do we need to do with the diet? And now 18 months later, this dog has a normal stool. She feels well. Her behavior issues, her anxiety level. So that's a super valid point. This is not an overnight fix, but with constant small effort, we can make a huge change. So thanks for pointing that out, because that's absolutely the truth. Cool. Any last points wisdom bombs you would drop for folks?
Oh my goodness. For health coaching, if you have sought out alternative and holistic solutions for your pet, you're already on the right track. So just continue to keep up the faith, continue to strive. It's just around the corner, and it is the solution. I know this personally because my dog Hazel got contracted leptospirosis, and she went to the emergency vet 3 days, and $5,000 later, they'd saved her life with antibiotics, very powerful antibiotics. But after that, it blew out her immune system. And so after that, she kept developing these skin issues, the big sores, and round after round after round of antibiotics, it would just get worse and worse and worse. So I said, enough of this, stop the insanity. And so instead of going back to the vet and getting on antibiotics again, heavy doses of probiotics and testing, and she's doing much, much better. She'll have a flare every once in a while, and we'll just do increase the probiotics from 2 pills to 4, and put on some of the CBD oil with the remedies from Angela, and so she's doing better. So it just takes some effort, it takes some time, but whenever I get a client, I automatically know I'm going to like this person, just because we're on the same wavelength, and it's just delightful to share your knowledge with somebody who's done their own research and they agree. So that part's really cool. Let's see, there's something else I wanted to say. Just being in this community, like you mentioned, Angela Ardolino, just has crazy incentive. Dr. Ruth, crazy smart. All of the health coaches are, they focus in something or another, and they're just exceptional human beings. And I'm kind of complimenting myself with all that, but it's just when you're in a community like that, you just grow and flourish, and we exchange knowledge and share knowledge, and and you grow as a person, as
Right
well
on.
as being a great pet parent.
Right on. Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. I mean, at this point, the future of veterinary medicine is truly in the hands of the pet parent. You are at choice to find different solutions. Veterinary medicine, conventional veterinary medicine has its choice. My holistic call or has its place, I should say, because it can be absolutely life-saving. But then we've got, then you've got a little mess to clean up. So that's the deal is use what is most beneficial in that moment for your pet, and then find the solution that's going to create the long-term support, because that's the whole deal with Western medicine. It is not very good at getting at the root cause. It's really good at treating the thing that is creating a life-threatening situation, but for monitoring or managing chronic disease, it just doesn't work. And so many of my colleagues, Dr. Judy Morgan, there's so many of us out there that are trying to get the message out there, but we are individuals, and the number of people that we can help and support is very limited. And that's why this program is so critical to improving pets' health, because if we have 300, 500 certified coaches that have the support of me and the rest of our team, and we're looking to bring other veterinarians in to support different modalities, then the number of people and pets that we can serve is amplified 100-fold. So that's the goal, is to really get the word out, get these options available for people in a format that they can use and that's not going to break the bank. I mean, that's the
Oh,
crazy thing, is that, people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars, and maybe they get a diagnosis, but in many cases, they get their pet pulled out of an emergency situation, but then there's all these chronic problems to deal with. And that's really where my profession is failing, is what to do with the aftermath of having saved the life. So that's what we got for you today. We're so happy you were able to join us. We're going to be making this a more regular feature. So as you see these notices pop up, jump on, learn more about the program, but ask us questions. If you've got some health stuff going on with your pets, pop some questions up. We can give you some solutions to work with, and always, as always, you can go check out my website, which just relaunched. So I think this is stable now. And that's been always fun, but go check it out. Look up Holistic Pet Health Coaches. You'll find more information about the program. We're still adding more information about how to contact and work with the coaches, but you can always talk with Hannah and the support team at this email address, and they'll be able to connect you with a coach if you need some help. So until next time, have a fantastic day. Give your pets a big hug for us, and we hope to see you soon.